It says we're live, but I'm not seeing that we're live. Welcome to the Unpacking It Live podcast presented by Medi-Share. I'm Bryce Johnson. Luke is here. Henry is here. For the next hour, we will unpack sports, faith, and life with the Unpacking It community of sports fans. What a weekend we just had. Now, I'll say that on Mondays because, hey, most weekends we get great sports. This past weekend was legendary. Last weekend, yeah, we were a little disappointed. It's a couple blowouts. Oh, baby, it made up for it this weekend. 4 games all came down to the final play. We had overtime. We had a 27-3 almost comeback by Tom Brady, which I thought for sure was going to happen, reminiscent of the Super Bowl against Atlanta. We saw last night's game with 2 quarterbacks going back and forth, back and forth. Wait, who's going to score last? What defense? Can any defense get a stop? No way. We're going to keep scoring. And then we saw the craziness at Lambeau Field, special teams. They mattered all weekend long, really, but especially in that Green Bay game. Aaron Rodgers, people think he's going to win the MVP. They could barely move the ball. So how do we feel about teams and fans actually showing up in such a cold atmosphere? Do we want that? Do we want that to continue? We'll talk about that on the show. And then how about Cincinnati? I of all the surprises of the weekend and everything, I can't believe Cincinnati is playing for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. A team that won 4 games last year. Joe Burrow, unbelievable. And how about their kicker? I don't always give love to kickers, but stick around. Later in the show, I've got some love. Got some love for one particular kicker, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. But today on the show, man, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know what direction we're going to go. All I know is we are going to talk about these 4 incredible games that we had over the weekend. And, we'll look a little bit toward next weekend with the 2 matchups and these 2 championship games, the Final 4, if you will, which should be phenomenal. But, man, the amount of dominoes that we got to kind of keep an eye out for with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and what do you make of the future of both of them and also their teams? And, whew, it is. I'm like catching my breath today. I'm still floating on cloud 9 from all those games over the weekend. And in the midst of it all, I got a haircut. I took Maddie to get her first haircut. That's right. So daddy priorities. And then I was able to make it back and watch the game. So it snowed. It snowed over the weekend in Charlotte again. Back-to-back weekends for snow. Another reason to stay home. And enjoy the football. But Luke, let's say hello to you. I can hear you breathing in the background, so I know you can't wait. You can't wait to get going here. How you doing, man? How you feeling?
I'm with you. Where on earth do we start? I mean, unbelievable. So my weekend was loaded. So obviously the football, fantastic. Said goodbye to the beard. So now it's back to the mustache. I went from no shave November to don't shave December. It turned into just keep it January. And I had to say goodbye. And so now free the cheeks, free the chin. Also got a haircut from my wife. She is on the pursuit of becoming a Renaissance woman. So all things around the house and basically being able to find ways to do things without having to pay for them. One of those is a haircut. So this is haircut number 3. Each one is getting better. So
Good for you.
it was fantastic. Also, I'm coaching an Upward basketball team. I don't know if I brought that up on the show, but Upward is like a Christian youth basketball league. And I'm coaching 5th and 6th grade boys, Team Wildcats. We've got an uphill battle. We're 0-3 on the season.
Oof, bad coaching.
But this past weekend, things are starting to click. We're getting good shots. The principles of being able to pass and cut, get players open, it's there. Things are clicking. There was just a lid on the rim this weekend. It was brutal. So looking forward to this next Saturday to get our first victory. So this weekend, with all that, fantastic football. Paul just commented, if it's a great haircut, why the hat? Very understandable comment. Now, yes, she's getting better at haircuts. Now, I went with no hat. I'm fine going with no hat in public. Went to church with the haircut and all that. But I will say, I've talked about this before. I am very much team hat. We need to, I'm trying to start the movement to make hats an acceptable garment to wear for all men at all times. Like throwback to what, the 1950s? Guys wore hats exclusively. It was only hats. Hats with suits, the whole 9 yards. I want that to be our culture again.
There you go. With whatever that little, what do you have on there? It's like what do you call it? A lighthouse?
Lighthouse. From the honeymoon, Hilton Head.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Hilton Head.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's funny. My dad used to always tell us we had to take our hat off at the dinner table. So I would take mine off. My hair would be crazy. And that was more acceptable than having the hat on.
Isn't that hilarious?
I'm not sure what his theory was behind that, but there's just like this level of respect for dinner.
If a guy is wearing a hat, it has to be more acceptable to keep it on, because a guy with hat hair, no. Let's just keep the hat on.
Yes, I'm with you on that. All right. So I want to hear what everybody is convinced of today. And I'm also curious on a couple different topics to get some feedback from our listeners today. One, with so many great moments in all of these games, great plays, great outcomes, what was the best moment of the weekend for you? What was that one play, that one most memorable element to the weekend for you? And then also, as we move forward, this is such a unique group of teams left. And I'm curious, for the neutral fan, who are you pulling for? Do you jump on the 49ers bandwagon? Do you jump on the Bengals bandwagon? Because let's face it, neither of those fan bases lately, well, I guess the 49ers were in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, but I'm not sure the fringe fans are fans of those two teams in particular. The Rams, they don't even have fans in their own city. And then, are St. Louis fans like that used to love the Rams? Are they on this bandwagon and rooting for the Rams? And then what about Detroit Lions fans? Are they pulling for Matthew Stafford and the Rams? And then, of course, the Chiefs. Do you jump on this kind of legendary type team that's in the making? Only one Super Bowl right now, only one win, but here they go, 4th straight AFC Championship game. So who are you pulling for? And would love to know your thoughts on that. And then later in the show, I do want to talk about the fact that Lambeau Field, as cold as it was, did we like watching that? Or are you like me and you're starting to question it in a big way? Because I've got some strong thoughts that I'm wrestling with today, or I was during that game, that I'll share in just a little bit. Today, during Unpack This, we're going to talk about that big game last night, Bills and Chiefs, and this idea that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were outdoing each other and then outdoing each other. And then, no. Oh, nice play. No, oh, that's pretty cool. Tyreek Hill, nice. Let me show you Gabriel Davis. Oh, that was cool, Gabriel Davis. Let me show you Travis Kelce. And so we're going to talk about that, how that relates to our own lives and faith in the Bible. And we'll have some fun with that one. Let me thank our presenting sponsor, Medi-Share. Unpacking It is brought to you by Medi-Share. They are a biblical, affordable alternative to health insurance. And in today's world, a unique community like this is something that is special. And so as a member myself, we just want to share with friends and family and listeners to let you know that this is a great alternative. And it's an innovative healthcare solution for Christians looking to save money without sacrificing on quality. And so text the word UNPACK to the number 201-201. So text the word UNPACK to 201-201, and you'll get some information to figure out if Medi-Share is the right fit for you and your family. They've been around since 1993, and they serve more than 400,000 members. And my wife and I, we've been members for over 5 years. So thanks so much to Medi-Share for their support here on Unpacking It. Let's begin this show. Well, we've begun. I mean, I jumped right in. I'm coming in hot. But let me start with I'm convinced. And this is a tricky thing for me to navigate a little bit. But I'm convinced it's really hard to win a Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks, John. But here, it's a very obvious statement, right? But I think
it is obvious, but I think in the way quarterbacks get hatred, it's not obvious.
There you go. Exactly. And so there's a lot of criticism for Aaron Rodgers and even lumping Brett Favre into that and criticizing Green Bay Packers fans. Well, you've only won 2 in a 30-year span to have these epic quarterbacks. And I understand the argument with that. But I even think to how difficult it is, for what Tampa Bay did last year to bring in Tom Brady and then for them to run through the playoffs with the defense that they had, and then how difficult it was for them to try to run it back and to keep everybody in line, to try to keep Antonio Brown in line for another year. It was really difficult to do. And you think back to, a few years ago when Philadelphia made that amazing run. Well, now they're trying to scramble and they made the playoffs this year, but to try to build that back up and to experience that again is very difficult. Mm-hmm. And so I think about it from that standpoint, how really hard it is to do it and to think, even if you get somebody like Patrick Mahomes, and there was talk after their first one, well, then they'll just win the next 7.
Oh,
well, that's not the case. They could win it this year. They might, but it's really hard to do it and to get everything to click and to get the weather to cooperate. And then you even think about a team like the Buffalo Bills, as talented as they were, as good as they were yesterday in an incredible game. And we talked about it last week. The loser of this game, we said, don't try to make too many changes. Buffalo did a little better on defense. This was a great team. But how hard it is. A team like Buffalo that went to 4 straight Super Bowls and can't win it. Yep. And now all these years later, the 8-8 season after 8-8 season, quarterback after quarterback, now they finally get Josh Allen, but it's still really hard to win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
And so that's kind of one of my big takeaways. And then the other part of this is I'm convinced it's much better being a fan of a team like Green Bay, even this year in the last few years, like the Bills, because they have a chance. It stinks to lose. It stinks to lose when you expect to win, especially. The Bengals are loving life. No one expected them to win. It's unbelievable. They're this far. They're playing with house money. Yeah. But when you're the Bills and you have this good of a team, this good of a regular season, you got the Titans, the 1 seed, the Packers, the 1 seed. And I can only imagine how bummed fans are to watch those teams lose. But it sure beats being a Panthers fan when we were out of it midway through the season. Mm-hmm. We got no shot. So I'm dealing with the pain of a losing season and the craziness of hiring Ben McAdoo. And so as the offensive coordinator. So sure, we feel sorry for Bills fans today. And part of my question today is, what team do you feel most sorry for fan-wise? What fan base do you feel most sorry for today? But don't feel more sorry for the Bills than you do for Panthers fans. Let me tell you, it's way worse sitting at home during the playoffs than it is to experience the joy and the excitement of last night's game. Even though Buffalo, trust me, I know that had to have felt devastating to lose that game when you had a chance and then you didn't get a chance in overtime. Mm-hmm. But man, you guys were in the mix. You were there, you showed up, and you got so much hope moving forward because you have Josh Allen, because you have Sean McDermott, because you have a number of great receivers and other players that have continued to step up in recent years. So there you go. That's what I'm convinced of today. What do you think?
Oh, I just don't know where to even begin. There are so many things. Let me just first beat the dead horse real quick. And I've said this before. NFL overtime rules, an absolute abomination. An absolute abomination. The fact that a coin toss determines the winner. If the Bills win the coin toss, they're winning. It's the same thing if in baseball, if you had a coin toss and said, all right, whoever wins the coin toss, you get to bat first. If you score, you win the game. No, come on. What are we doing here? You have to allow both teams to get the ball. Abolish NFL overtime rules. Change them. They're a complete abomination. Absolutely terrible. I agree with you. So I just had to get that out of the way. Oh, gosh. It pained me watching that last night.
All right. All right. I'm not I don't like to blame the refs, and I don't like to blame rules or even like replay rule. Like, to me, it is what it is. And you play it. And there's so many opportunities the Bills had to win the game. And yeah, it came down to the final play. My bigger thing was, why would we want that game to end? So in what way can we continue the game
exactly
so that they both had more chances? It was such a letdown when it was over. It's like, wait, that's it? No, we want
how's the rule literally left Josh Allen on the sideline? Paul has a great comment here. 3 years ago, Kansas City and New England AFC Championship game. Brady gets the ball first and wins. Like, are we serious here? That happened in the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, Patriots get the ball first. Matt Ryan doesn't get a chance. Like, what are we doing here?
He had his chances.
Let's not get
any more chances.
Because if Buffalo gets the ball to start, we're going to be saying, "Oh, well, Kansas City had their chance on defense."
Absolutely.
No, it's an offensive league. It benefits the amount of advantage you get by getting the ball first. Makes it unfair that the rules are the way they are. But anyway, I could talk about this for hours. I am passionate about it. What I am convinced of is we are officially in a new era. And what I mean by that, we are the new era of quarterbacks. It is officially here. I think Aaron Rodgers, that's his last chance for a Super Bowl. I think Tom Brady, the future is so unknown. I think that could have been his last chance. Now, are they still incredible quarterbacks? Yes. But in regards to chances and the unknown about what they're going to do, is Aaron Rodgers going to be in Green Bay again? Green Bay has other questions. Are they going to re-sign Devontae Adams, who's a free agent now? Brady, is he going to retire? What's going to happen with Tampa Bay? We know what's going to happen with Mahomes. He's in Kansas City. We know what's going to happen with Josh Allen. He's in Buffalo. We know what's going to happen with Justin Herbert. He's on the Chargers. We know what's going to happen with Joe Burrow. He's in Cincinnati. The new era is officially here. I think the dominance of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, it's gone. I saw a stat. It's the first time since 2009, I believe, that Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, either one of them wasn't in a conference championship. Unbelievable. It is officially here. These young quarterbacks, they're not rookies anymore. They are franchise quarterbacks who you build around, and they have really good teams. So I'm convinced the new era is here. Now, that doesn't discount Rodgers and Brady. That doesn't mean they still can't play great football. But their years of dominance, I think are over.
So here's a question for fans. Have we seen enough of both of them? Or do we want to continue to watch Rodgers and Brady? Both of them had incredible seasons. I say Tom Brady's the MVP. Most people say Aaron Rodgers is the MVP of the regular season. But they were amazing this year. But have we seen enough to where, all right, now let's shift our focus to this next crew, which to me, there's enough room for both of them because the NFL still, you can never have enough great quarterbacks. It's still not deep enough yet. But at least in the playoffs, we're now seeing these four different teams. And don't forget Jimmy G, right? The rising star of Jimmy G. I mean, are you kidding me? I can't believe the 49ers are where we stand with Jimmy G after spending their third overall pick on a quarterback. I mean, are you kidding me?
There are a few things in this world that are facts. One of them, God is real. We know that to be true. Another of them, water is wet. Water is wet. Another one of them, Shanahan wins with Jimmy G. Yeah. Shanahan wins with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. He's lost one time in the playoffs with Jimmy Garoppolo, and that was a Super Bowl. They win.
They do.
And the conversation will never be put to bed. It's going to be an endless conversation of, should we trade him? What are the 49ers going to do with Jimmy G? And they're just going to keep winning with him. It is unbelievable. And before we move on, I just have to say, speak on behalf of America, this is the greatest football weekend I have ever been a part of, ever in my life. Now, for those who are older and have seen a better football weekend, I'm not discounting
Yeah.
that. But in my lifetime, these 4 games, there has never been better. Every game came down to the wire, came down to the last play. Every game came down to the last play. I I just, how blessed are we as sports fans? It is unbelievable. The 4 games we just saw. Like, are you kidding me?
No question about it. This was as good of a weekend. I'm thinking back to, all right, what are the best games I've seen? And that Rams Chiefs game on Monday Night Football a number of years ago, a few years
Yeah, the
ago,
high scoring game.
high scoring game, Monday Night Football. That was one of the most exciting, crazy, back and forth games that I can remember. But I was thinking about this, and maybe this falls into what I'm convinced of as well. But I'm an NFL fan. I can watch any team. I've got a number of teams that I like and can find myself, rooting for. But really, in these 4 games, I wasn't passionate about any one team winning. Like I found myself in the Rams and Bucks game. Like I was kind of rooting for Brady to pull off the comeback, but then I love Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. So I was like, oh man, no,
Yeah.
I love them. Last night, it's like, oh, this is new. I never really root for the Bills, so this is kind of fun. Oh, yeah, I like Josh Allen. Oh no, but here's Mahomes. Like, look at these ridiculous passes. Yeah, I can root for the Chiefs. This is great. So I'm going back and forth. And so, as a neutral fan in all of these games, it was a blast. But I'm also convinced when you're a true fan of these teams, it's way better. It's way more exciting. So like,
Yeah,
so
100%.
as great as it was for us, and it really was as a neutral fan, these 4 games,
Oh,
but
no question.
but it's still when it comes down to it, we still need our go-to team. Like even in the age of fantasy football where it has caused me to like more and more players, more and more teams, I can never be more passionate than I was in 2004 or 2003, 4 when Jake Delhomme and Steve Smith were making their run to the Super Bowl with the Carolina Panthers, and they went into a double overtime game with the St. Louis Rams. And Steve Smith had a walk-off touchdown. That's the greatest moment for me as an NFL fan and Panthers fan. So, everybody's talking about this was the greatest weekend, which absolutely, just from a overall NFL standpoint, and maybe it's obvious, but yeah, you still have to have your team, and you have to be emotionally invested in one team to truly experience the joy and the defeat and all that comes with it.
Which brings us to a former conversation: teams over rooting for players. The joy of having a team, sticking with them through the lows and the highs.
Yes.
It's just so vastly superior to having a favorite player and rooting for whatever team they're on. Or
really
just
is.
kind of being a bandwagon fan or someone who just kind of doesn't really stick with the team. But staying with your team, how rewarding it's going to feel for my Cowboys and your Panthers the next deep postseason run they make. Like the excitement I had for the wild card weekend, and that was just, it had been 2 years since the Cowboys had been in the playoffs. It's an indescribable feeling of how amped you are to watch your team. That Cowboys-Niners game, even though they lost, the excitement, the jitters, it's like you feel like you're in the locker room with them.
Yeah.
To be a sports fan for a team, it is incredible.
And that's why, I've got a good buddy of mine, loyal Bengals fan. And so you can't help but be happy for him because he's stuck with this, team that struggled for many years. And then that's why today we feel bad for Bills fans because we know how much they care. We know how loyal Bills Mafia really is, and they stick by their team. And they had high hopes this year, and they fell short. But I still think the run that they went on, this was really this has to be fun. These last few years, the Bills are back. They're back in the mix, and all indications are they're not going anywhere. So to continue to be in the mix moving forward,
which
is going to be great.
Again, just to comment on what you said earlier, the conversation is not what do the Bills need to fix. It really is just a matter of you ran into one of the best trios we've ever seen in the NFL: Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. It's a matter of you can be as good. How hard it is to win a Super Bowl? Russell Wilson has won Super Bowl. Drew Brees won Super Bowl. Manning barely has 2. Aaron Rodgers won Super Bowl. Great quarterbacks. It's not just, oh yeah, they're going to win multiple. No, not even close. A team as good as the Bills can't even advance to the conference championship. In what world does that make sense? The NFL. That's the world it makes sense, because it is so unbelievably impossible to win a Super Bowl in the NFL. It is so difficult.
And how nice too this year that both number 1 seeds go down, because that means there's not, it's fun to see a dominating team every once in a while,
Yeah.
but we see enough of that in college with Alabama and all that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's nice to just, and we saw it with New England for how many years, but to see this wide open, even more
Yeah.
parity in the playoffs, which we don't always get. Sometimes we'll see the Giants make a run and
Yeah.
that kind of thing, but
We're getting what we wanted. With all season we've been talking about, man, there's a good handful of teams that
Yes.
have a shot. We didn't really have true number 1 seeds in the sense that they're so far above everyone else. Green Bay was really good, but
yeah.
still, for Green Bay, they're still the Rams, they're still the Bucks, the Niners, I guess. But we're actually getting what we hoped, which is it's just absolute chaos because there's so many good teams.
Yeah, and as fun as it's been with Cincinnati, it is hard to see them knocking off Kansas City.
Even though they beat them, but
in this,
that's why,
environment at this level, with that lack of experience on the other side, with the experience of the Chiefs, because the Titans didn't have that, and the Titans, that was a unique season for them, and so they had a great year despite all their injuries.
Oh yeah.
And, Henry didn't seem to get back to that. I thought he would step right on the field and break off one for 50 yards, but he really didn't. Foreman actually looked pretty good for them running the ball, but
really good.
But they were right in the mix, and I don't think they can be too bummed about this season. But Ryan Tannehill was definitely a letdown. Of all the quarterback performances, that was really bad down the stretch. I still can't understand that final play because I found myself rooting for the Titans, and for him to throw that ball to their third or fourth wide receiver. Oh my goodness, to lose that way, that was hard. That was hard to swallow. So that was challenging. All right, so many things to talk about. Keep the comments coming. What was your favorite moment of the weekend? What were your big takeaways? What are you convinced of? But each week on the show, we do unpack this. We take a sports story related to the Bible, related to our own lives. And today, I definitely want to talk about last night's game, the Bills and the Chiefs, and really what took place from Saturday at 4:30 until last night. It was like every game got better. Like every game outdid the previous game. You could debate the Saturday night game maybe wasn't as good. Maybe that was the worst game, but it's still, to have a blocked punt that ends up in a touchdown that allows you to win.
It still gave you chaos and excitement down to the wire.
So every game it was like, oh, this is a little bit more entertaining. And then, then we move to Sunday, and then we get the Bucks and the Rams, and incredible first half for the Rams. They pull out, and then the Bucks make it interesting. And then the Rams almost, cough up the ball. They did a couple times, almost gave the game away. That was wild. I mean, that was wild. I was started saying, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And so little Maddie, my 2-year-old, she started yelling that as well. So I got her, she was beside herself with the comeback.
I will say, I'm concerned the conference championship games are going to be a letdown. Like if a team wins by 10 points, we're going to be, boring game. What are we doing here?
Yes. No, it's true. It's true. But we were kind of right. I mean, most people probably thought this, but last week the games were so weak just from blowouts, and it was kind of disappointing that it set up for a tremendous week.
True.
Yeah. Can that really continue? But in many ways, San Francisco and Rams, like that's almost guaranteed to be a good game. Divisional
100%.
game.
Yeah. Come on.
So maybe the Chiefs blow out Cincinnati. Maybe.
And then just a track meet with Cincinnati and Kansas City. Offensive shootout, maybe.
Could be that. So the point was that each game got a little bit better, and then last night's game, of course, was the best of the weekend. And then I would even say that the game within the game, there was outdoing throughout the entire night between both offenses. Josh Allen would sit and watch Patrick Mahomes do something and go, all right, I got something in store for you. I'm going to go outdo that amazing play that you just had. And then Patrick Mahomes go, oh, nice, Allen. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Wait, can you throw the ball like this? And Tyreek Hill is thinking, hey, nobody is as fast as me. Wait till my ability to outdo you. And so that was what I realized that each of them got the best out of one another, right? Josh Allen was pushing Mahomes. Mahomes was pushing Josh Allen. Neither one of them had, I mean, they had perfect games, incredible games.
Yes.
The throws that they were making, elite level, elite playoff level. And they were going back and forth. And so, for us as sports fans, it was a treat to witness this as they, really rose to the occasion and they found new ways to take the lead and then exceed what was done on the previous drive.
Yes.
So what does this have to do with our own lives? Well, oftentimes, we find ourselves competing, right, day to day, competing, whether in work or just kind of life. We're competitive people, right? And we want to be better than other people. So sometimes that drives us, and we want to win in whatever our endeavors are. Mine in fantasy football, but that's not necessarily a bad thing to be competitive. Now it can lead to bad things. That's a whole nother topic. Competitiveness. What's really at the core of that? We can look at that another day. But today, what I want to look at in the Bible, this word outdo shows up, and what does the Bible actually say about outdoing others in a positive sense, right? So to remove it kind of in a positive light from a competitive standpoint in outdoing others. So you've probably heard it before. Romans 12:10, it says, love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. It's like, oh yeah, you respected me. I appreciate that. Wait till I come out and I'm gonna respect you. I'm gonna honor you. I'm gonna value you. I'm gonna love you more than you love me. Well, just wait. And like what if we actually saw this in marriage? If we actually were longing to honor our wives even more than they honor us, and then the reverse happens, and then they want to honor us, love us.
It reminds me of I was at a Christian retreat in college, and they did this thing called like an encouragement battle. Now, it was kind of cringe to watch, but the point it got across, basically, instead of like ripping each other, it was, well, you know what? You're incredibly kind. Oh, really? Well, how about this? Well, you really serve others well. And they went back and forth and back and forth. And again, it was kind of cringe to watch because it's never a conversation someone will ever have. But the point of, wow, is there a competitive nature on how can I show more love to someone? It's really fascinating to kind of unlearn how we view competition.
That's right. No, it's good. So that same verse in a different translation says, love one another deeply as brothers and sisters, take the lead in honoring one another. And so again, paralleling it to, at one moment, Patrick Mahomes had the lead for the Chiefs, and then the Bills came back, and then the Chiefs, and went back and forth, back and forth. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, in football, there's got to be a winner. But what if we actually, stepped on the field, stepped into life, and we're looking to take the lead when it comes to respecting, admiring, value, and appreciating others? And what if we nurtured relationships, built people up, and helped them grow in ways they never thought possible? We talk about what we saw yesterday. It was remarkable. It was unbelievable. It was incredible. What if we had that same kind of approach to actually helping other people grow and do things and accomplish things they never thought possible? And so what if we looked for opportunities to exceed what someone has done for us in regards to encouragement and honor? And then in 1 Thessalonians, it says, therefore, encourage one another, build each other up, just in fact as you are doing. So we continue to do that. We don't stop. We continue to encourage one another. And so what if we set out to raise the bar and we actually brought out the best in each other? Mahomes and Allen, they brought out the best in each other on the football field. What if we brought out the best in each other? And in today's world, it's always like we bring out the worst in one another, right? What if that was actually reversed and we brought out the best and we set out to inspire and challenge one another to follow Jesus, to lay down our lives on the field, so to speak. And so in Hebrews, it says, let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. And so, oh, wow, man, I see that you're doing these cool things. Man, that encourages me. I want to step out and do that. You're coaching this Upward basketball team. That's cool. That's kind of a challenge to me. Mm-hmm. Maybe I got to step out and do a little coaching. Get back. I got to get the whistle back. That's a good thing. You're pouring into kids. You don't have your own kids yet. So you're doing that at this stage of life. It's a really cool thing. And so here I am. I'm honoring you. I'm encouraging you.
That's
I
right.
didn't even mean to do that, but there you go. So that worked out well.
Didn't even mean to do that. Yeah, probably won't happen again, but
yeah. Let's not get carried away. No, but that's the point. But what if we actually did that? That became, a common part of the way that we live and operate and relationally
yes.
live. And so, what if we embraced that it was our turn to take it up a level and do something incredible? Okay, it was Mahomes' turn. Now it's Allen's turn. Well, we same thing in regards to serving, showing hospitality, sacrificing, encouraging, honoring, and giving. Proverbs, it says, the generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. So it's like, man, we pour into others, then we get poured into. And then, oh man, you honor someone, they honor you. And then you're filled up. And then you go out and you encourage someone, they encourage you. And boom, boom, boom. We keep raising the bar. We raise the level of our friendships, of our marriage, of our, coworkers, whatever it may be. It's pretty cool when that becomes the competition, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Encouragement is a game changer. I think of when someone has encouraged you. It's almost like medicine for the soul on an encouraging word. It
Absolutely
affirms us that we're doing something well. It motivates us to go and continue doing things, to do something good. Encouragement is so important. It's obvious why Scripture talks about encouraging one another in the life of the church. We need that as believers, encouraging each other to persevere, encouraging each other to keep the faith, encouraging each other to continue following Christ. God has implemented that as one of the things to help us, surrounding us in a community of believers in the local church to encourage each other in the faith. I think encouragement's hard, though, because it requires us to look outside of ourselves. Right. And part of a huge discussion point when discussing outdoing one another is it requires us to not be inward focused. When we encourage someone else, that means we're not focusing on self. We see someone else doing something. Hey, let's hype them up. Let's encourage them. Let's be their number one fan. Not because, oh, maybe they'll do it back to me, but because that is the love of Christ pouring out of us. But again, in order to become a good encourager, in order to improve on outdoing one another in love, we first have to ask God, help me stop focusing on myself. If we want to build ourselves up, we can't build others up. It's an either or. If you want to build others up, then we got to stop focusing on just protecting my own personal kingdom here and building up my own personal brand, for lack of better words. But again, encouragement, Amen. I think of the encouraging words I've gotten from close friends. I mean, it has been huge for me in my life.
Me too. No question about it. It's a text, it's an email, it's a call. It's it's just one sentence, one conversation that can make a huge difference. So it's true. Let me wrap up with this. So the NFL world was watching last night as two teams went back and forth doing unbelievable things while two quarterbacks took turns shining. Today, as followers of Jesus, let's realize the world is watching, and we have the opportunity to take turns honoring each other, pushing each other to do great things in the Lord, love more and more, give above and beyond, and bring out the best in us, which ultimately is Christ shining through. That's what we want to bring out. Bringing out the best in us is Christ shining through, and being who God created us to be. And so you can unpack that. That will go out as an email devotional later today. You can subscribe for free on unpackingit.com. We send that out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then, of course, on Mondays, we talk about it here on the show. All right. So that's Unpack This. We got a lot more to get to on this show today. And we don't know what happened to Henry. So I said Henry's here. I was speaking it into existence because he hadn't jumped on yet. But I was like, Henry will be here. I didn't want to make it seem like he was late, but now we just don't know where Henry is. So we need to find Henry.
We need to find Henry.
But normally we'll do tap drill with him. But let's and he's usually on the chat, so hopefully we'll get him on board here soon. But let's talk about the game. So we talked about the Bills and Chiefs a lot. There's a lot more to get into with that. But I think the Packers being the number one seed, there's a lot there to unpack. And you know, like we said, with the Bills, they lose, and you could criticize maybe a couple of their decisions down the stretch, but there's more optimism and hope for the Bills moving forward.
Oh, no doubt.
Whereas with Green Bay, their concerns, what happens next? Same with the Bucks. It's, can they really run it back? And, you know, I do wonder about this too. The cold weather game on Saturday night, I found hard to watch. I found it hard to watch player after player just get injured. Like, it was so cold. It felt like 0 degrees, and these guys are out trying to run, catch, throw, tackle each other. And you know, they're hobbling off the field. And so I had to take a step back. As a fan, is that what I want to watch? Because I think we've accepted the narrative that cold weather games is football, NFL, the National Football League, the frozen tundra. There's snow. It's cold weather. Look at these giants of the gridiron take the field.
Toughest men in the USA.
Yeah. But here's the reality. It's 2022. And sadly, right or wrong, maybe not sadly, I don't know. People come out different sides of this, but we're not as tough as we used to be. We are soft. We are soft. I have hair gel on. I'm not tough. I'm not a tough guy. You know,
hair gel is soft.
I'm not sure I'm stepping out into the frozen tundra. You know, I played in the snow with my daughter, you know, last couple weekends. You know, I'm layered up. I got 3 layers of pants on. I'm actually sweating. I'm so hot because I have so many layers on because how soft I am. But seriously though, you know, do we want to watch football in those types of conditions? Now, I think last night in Kansas City was pretty cold. It wasn't that cold as it was obviously in Green Bay, but it made for, like, Aaron Rodgers wasn't Aaron Rodgers. So we can say, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers, he didn't live up to the moment, or, well, maybe not, because it was 0 degrees. And despite him having long hair, it wasn't keeping him warm enough.
Okay, you make a fascinating point. So I think Green Bay's loss is twofold. One, I think Aaron Rodgers plays hero ball, and he has played hero ball in some of these games. I was reading some Green Bay beat writer guys, and they're saying they're showing clips of him missing wide open receivers for the hero shot.
He couldn't feel his fingers.
Say that again.
He couldn't feel his fingers.
That's right. True. The other thing is, if you are a Green Bay Packer, do you want home field advantage? Because if you are in a passing league and you have a quarterback who, he's not one of the greatest for handing the ball off, he's one of the greatest for throwing the rock.
That's right.
You cannot throw the rock when it's snowing in 0 degrees. Throwback to my youth football days. If you have played football in the cold, getting hit is terrible. 100% atrocious. I'm okay being labeled soft for that. Getting hit when it was 30 degrees in my old football days, terrible. 0 degrees, it's snowing. You cannot be the best version of your passing self when it's that cold. So if you're a Green Bay Packer, you want road games. When they won the Super Bowl in 2010,
this week.
When they won the Super Bowl in 2010, I don't think they had home field advantage.
No,
they're winning road games.
You're right. That's
so if you're Aaron Rodgers, home field advantage at Lambeau, that's your worst nightmare.
Yep.
So now, in regards to watching it, I think watching a snow game every now and then is fantastic. Makes you feel like a kid. Being able to play out in the snow with buddies, great.
I agree.
But when it becomes
snow on the field,
snow on the field's cool.
You know, 32 degrees.
But
not 0.
But when it's 0, it hinders the quality of football that we're used to. Now, 35 years ago, not even 35, 20 years ago, when running the football, you have a bell cow running back, you're force feeding him. Oh yeah, I want all of that. Game. But it's a different game. It's a
Yes.
different game. In those cold games, they're not as appealing because you don't get the football we're accustomed to.
No, that's exactly it. Bingo. So now we can go back to that. I'm fine. Like I like tough football, and that's fine. It's
Oh yeah,
fun.
yeah.
But then I say that. But then I think about, wait, do I want to watch Steelers Ravens for that to be every game? No, it's like you respect it and it's fun. It's like you understand, wow, that was a tough, hard fought game. And that's what we saw Saturday night. And San Francisco was a tougher team. And I would even think going into it, you would say, yeah, San Francisco's a tougher team. The Nick Bosa's and
Yeah.
Nick
I
or
mean,
Joey.
their
You got
front
Nick.
seven. That's why Rams Niners is going to be fantastic because both
They're
defensive
tough.
lines, their whole team is tough. Both
Yeah.
defensive lines are two of the best in football. It's going to be a battle of the trenches in that game.
Yes. And I do think, mental toughness as well.
Oh,
Like
no doubt.
it's not just physical toughness when it comes to the cold. You have to be mentally tough and
Oh,
know how
yeah.
to, trick your body into thinking you're fine
Well,
and all that kind of
How
thing.
you wearing short sleeves out there? If
Well,
I'm
yeah.
playing,
Well,
short sleeves it isn't even within reality for me.
but apparently, so Ray Lewis used to always play with no sleeves, even in cold weather. And there's something you can rub on yourself that like blocks the coldness.
Hmm.
And so where was I? I listened to something the other day and I heard that. And I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. Was it Manning Cast?
Science time with Bryce right now.
Was that the Manning cast? I don't know. I was watching something, but so I don't know if that's the case for some of those guys. But then at the same time, so I'm always looking out for the fans as well. And I would say that one of my dreams has been I want to go to a game at Lambeau Field because it seems like one of the coolest places.
A cold
And if
weather
I
game.
went, I would want to go in the snow if I was going to enjoy the full experience. But I started thinking about those people that were there Saturday night.
Oh,
You go home, losers, freezing cold. After 3+ hours of
Yeah.
sitting in the cold, you can't feel your fingers.
no.
You're numb in every which way.
Yeah.
You're not only lost, but then you're freezing. That to me is just a miserable thing. So if we feel bad for any fans today, I actually feel bad for the Packers fans,
Oh,
even though you shouldn't feel bad for them because they've had Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, and they're in the mix every single year for the last 30 years.
can we acknowledge that? 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks since what, 92? They have had 2 of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play this game since what, I think 92 or whenever Favre came into the league.
Yeah.
2 Super Bowls.
But to my point earlier, it's really hard to win Super Bowls.
Really hard to win
and
Super Bowl.
You appreciate it, and it also puts into perspective what New England did.
If Rodgers walks, of all the playoff teams to lose, I think perhaps the Packers fans have to be the most concerned. If I'm a Packers fan, again, Devontae Adams is a free agent. The Packers right now are millions of dollars over the salary cap. Devontae Adams, you have to bring him back. If Rodgers and Adams leaves, Packers fans, I mean, they move up to number 1 on the prayer request list because they don't know what this is like. Especially if you're my age, you're born into this. You're born into greatness. They don't know what it's like to not have a Hall of Fame quarterback in 30 years.
No. And Jordan Love's, I'm not sure he's the guy. Not sure he's the next guy.
Oh.
But Devontae Adams, you know who his college quarterback was?
Derek Carr.
Let's go. They need a marquee receiver next to Hunter Renfrow.
Oh,
That
Renfro,
could be intriguing.
Devontae Adams, and Darren Waller. Yikes.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be remarkable. So, I was thinking too, with both number 1 seeds, they came from, I guess, the worst divisions, right? You think about the Titans beating up on, even though my Colts, Texans, Jags, even though I know they lost to Houston or whatever, but that was the division they were in. Whereas, we knew the NFC West was the toughest this year. Like with Seattle being the worst. Yeah, I mean, they still got Russell Wilson, but those other 3 teams, all playoff teams.
Yeah.
We have two remaining in the Final 4 from the NFC West.
Unreal.
And so, neither one of them was the number 1 seed, and maybe they weren't getting all the hype. But it kind of shows you. Whereas the Green Bay, Lions, Bears, Vikings.
Yeah.
No wonder they got the number 1 seed.
That's true. Again, this is the worst year to be a 1 seed. Now the Titans, not a great 1 seed, and they just had. it's hard to find consistency with them. They're missing players all season on and off. And again, terrible division. Terrible division.
Yeah.
And the Packers, I mean, again, you're getting a lot of wins from beating up on your division. That's why the Cowboys, not as good as what they made themselves look like record-wise, because they beat up on a bad division. So, I don't know. You've talked about it all season long. No matter what the Rams' record is, because again, that division, you're going record-wise, you're going to look worse than you are. That Rams team, loaded, absolutely loaded.
Yeah, and it really it came through yesterday. You're reminded of guy after guy, except for Jalen Ramsey, who gave up a huge play to Mike Evans.
I know.
Because I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, to have the three levels to go from Aaron Donald to Von Miller to Jalen Ramsey on your defense. I mean, that's remarkable. But then Ramsey gave up. Yeah, guys make bad plays, but that was a major advantage for Evans. He made the play.
Yes. Mike Evans, I think I believe every season in the NFL, he's had 1,000 yards. I don't think that's ever been done. Maybe it has. Mike Evans, one of the more underrated pass catchers.
That's fair.
Can we talk about him more? But for the Rams to be able to...
What college did he go to? Remind us, Luke.
I don't know.
Yeah, remind us. What college did he go to? Yeah.
I think he went to the Texas Agricultural and Mining University.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
But for the Rams to be able to put away Tom Brady, no matter how many points they were up, putting away Tom Brady is a daunting task. And they did. Now, you asked the listeners earlier, what's the one play this weekend that just blew you away, that you just were screaming? Now, how blessed are we to have, 10, 12 of those? My moment was Cam Akers' second fumble in the fourth quarter.
Yes, gosh.
And Tampa Bay recovered it to go score. When Cam Akers fumbled, I was screaming. I literally kept saying, no way, no way. Tampa Bay is going to go score, and it's going to be a tie game. That moment was unreal. Unreal.
That's when I was yelling, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I was telling Jody and Maddie that Tom Brady, like, he's the greatest, but he's also the luckiest guy.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? Talk about it. And we know Brady's great. I've given him all the love in the world. But the fact that Cam Akers is going to fumble twice, Cooper Kupp,
Kupp's going to fumble.
The best receiver in the league this year, is going to fumble in a marquee point.
Yep.
You give Brady more opportunities. That's just lucky from Brady's perspective.
Yes.
But this is the kind of stuff that always happens for him.
This is the kind of stuff you have to win Super Bowls. You have to have luck. You have to have luck.
I don't know how you figure that out. I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's just crazy. So, are you glad it's a Final Four without Tom Brady, or are you going to miss him? You're going to miss him. We do know that every year he's in it. It's like the Super Bowl is great. I think almost every single one he's been to 10, maybe 9 out of 10 were great Super Bowls. The one punt fest was questionable. That was a tough Super Bowl.
The Patriots Rams, right?
That was
so disappointing.
That was hard to watch. But of course, the Falcons Patriots game that's my favorite Super Bowl. That comeback was ridiculous. Yeah. All right, so Kaz gives his moment, the Gabriel Davis third touchdown. We got to give some love to Gabriel Davis. 4 touchdowns for him. So he deserves a ton of love. And then the fact that Cam Akers, I know he fumbled twice. The fact that he was even on the field after an Achilles injury. Good friend of mine, my brother, both Achilles injuries. They barely can walk now. No, they can. But I mean, it's just that is a wonderful story for Cam Akers.
That's superhuman. It's got to be superhuman, right? What, he tore his Achilles in training camp, and he's playing this season.
Great news, though, just with the advancements of
But normally, that's a 12-month injury? At least in the NBA, you're out for the next year.
Happened to Kobe. Yep.
No, that's phenomenal.
All right, so. You want to hear my moment of the week? We call it the Medi-Share moment of the week, presented by Medi-Share. The moment for me, Evan McPherson. Evan McFearless. 52-yard game winner.
Ice in his veins.
Cincinnati Bengals. What's that?
Ice in his veins.
So not only did he hit the kick, which is great, and I'm not Mr. Kicker guy. I'd rather games end with a touchdown, but we saw three of the games end with the kick, and then thankfully the Chiefs ended with a touchdown. But for Evan McPherson, before he kicked that, he looked over at his holder, Brandon Allen, and he said, "Looks like we're going to the AFC Championship game." Have you ever heard a kicker that confident? I haven't. I mean, I know Vinatieri, I'm sure he had to play, with a ton of confidence, but normally kickers, they're like on the verge of losing it, losing it mentally.
Maybe McPherson's figured it out. Maybe you have to be overly confident to trick yourself into it's a chip shot. 52 yards. Yeah, it's a chip shot.
In his mind, he already made it.
Yeah.
So I love that. But so I listened to him. He's on Dan Patrick today. But so he's a rookie. Oh. This year, 18 for 18 on the road, 11 field goals of 50 or more is a single season record. And from what I understand, not just rookies, that's a kicker record. And get this, he left early from college. He came out as a junior and was drafted in the 5th round by the Bengals. So rarely do kickers get drafted. Actually, I think the last kicker was Mike Nugent. Didn't Cincinnati draft him too? So rarely kickers are.
Was Janikowski a first rounder?
I think he was. Raiders. Yeah, but he had a great career. He was. I think he's probably their all-time leading scorer.
Never forget his 75-yard attempt. That.
Gosh, he was a legend. He was an absolute legend. The mainstay in Oakland when they were there. Yeah. But just for me, so this was just the moment of the week, and then the fact that he's now become like a kind of a superstar, like from a kicker standpoint, just bursting onto the scene. He can handle the big moment. This is a big deal for Cincinnati. So they traded with New England in order to have extra picks because they were looking to get key positions filled through the draft, and they needed more kicks or more picks in order to get a kicker. And they were able to get Evan McPherson, and he's lived up to the hype. He missed like an extra point this season, and he was just beside himself about that. But other than that, he's been reliable and sending the Bengals to the AFC Championship. That was the upset of the weekend for me. I was talking to my neighbor, and he's like, "Oh, I wasn't too surprised by the Bengals." I was surprised by the Bengals. The Rams, not so much. Even the 49ers, to a certain extent, I wasn't that surprised. But the Bengals, incredible.
That was, I think Jay Feely was on that broadcast. They were talking. Was he on that broadcast?
No, he was. No. He was on last night with Jim Nantz.
Okay. Anyway, I think someone was talking.
He totally threw Butker under the bus.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, he talked him up, and then he missed.
I know. Yeah. Okay, so he was talking about Butker, basically saying Butker being the best kicker in the league outside of, drawing a blank on the Ravens, Justin Tucker.
Yes.
Yeah, he said, Butker, 89% this year. Those are my best years. And 89% is Butker's worst year. And then very mediocre game from Butker.
Oh, but he got the game. Well, he got the send it to overtime.
True.
He did redeem himself on that.
That was pretty funny.
Really
also, can we give Feely some more airtime? The dude has the headset. He's full dressed out in 25 seconds of airtime for 4 hours? He's sitting there just waiting to get the nod. Like, put me in, coach. Maybe 25 seconds. Hey, Jay, tell us about Butker here. Yeah, he's got a big leg. Justin Tucker's best kicker in the league. Oh, thanks, Jay. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Missed. Yeah, and then you don't hear from Jay the rest of the game. Oh.
Well, I'm not looking to hear from Jay Feely and taking time away from Uncle Jimmy and Tony Romo.
I think they thought they had a golden idea with, hey, let's have a kicker give us the mental state of kickers throughout the game. They realized maybe not a big hit, and they're trying to kind of to try to go less and less to try to weed them out. So they're giving them 10 less seconds each broadcast.
But I will say, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo last night did a phenomenal job. For it to be the greatest game that we've seen, at least in a long time, and to have those guys on the call.
Yeah.
They captured the moment. It was great, and they did it again. Just like last week, the game of the week was Dallas, San Francisco.
Yep.
Thankfully, we had Jim and Romo on that one as well. So they've got it, man. They got it. So we were going to do tap drill today with Henry, but I'm not sure what happened to Henry today. So we missed Henry. So we'll kind of skip tap drill. But one of the topics I wanted to bring up was, we just saw kind of all the NFL networks or broadcast partners and all the broadcasters on display, over the last couple of weeks, right? Everybody had their marquee game. We saw the best broadcasters, perform and all that kind of thing. And my two big takeaways as far as what changes should be made in the offseason, I've had enough of Troy Aikman. I'm ready to move on from Troy Aikman. And the CBS pregame show needs some major work. I mean, I don't mind Boomer Esiason, and I was listening to him after Cincinnati won. It was great. It was like, all right, here's a guy who played for the Bengals, but that was a rare moment. And I like Nate Burleson, but like Bill Cowher's way too vanilla, and I'm ready to move on from Phil Simms. We moved on from him because we got Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Now it's time to fully. Because I actually like Chris Simms. So if we can, Phil, great run, time to move on.
Chris is NBC, right?
And he's over at NBC.
Yeah. And
Drew Brees had a tough time. People aren't into Drew Brees, I think, like people expected. And then also one of the rising, he's been around a long time, but Ian Eagle, he's great. He called the Cincinnati Tennessee game.
What about all the Fox guys? I feel like we're embarking on, it's almost about to be just cuckoo hour. Like they're getting older. Now it's just like, what are we talking about? Like, now, very entertaining. And I mean, Strahan, I think he's great. But Terry Bradshaw, Jimmy Johnson, it's got to be near the end for them on TV, right?
Yeah, Jimmy and Terry are definitely. They've been around a long time. We'll put it that way.
Long time.
I mean, I like Terry Bradshaw a lot. Like, he's one of my favorite characters. I've said it before. When it comes to him, Dick Vitale, Lee Corso, like you keep him as long as you can until it becomes uncomfortable. And it's getting there with Terry, because like some of the comments he makes, like you just can't say that stuff. Like, I guess you can if you're Terry Bradshaw, but in general, people aren't allowed to say that kind of stuff, and he gets away with it. So it does make me nervous for sure.
Another thing, one of the tap drill topics. Did you see Stephon Diggs?
Yes.
Go after the guy who ran on the field, like actually tried to hit him hard.
A fan runs onto the field.
Yes.
And Stephon Diggs took it upon himself to take that guy down.
Like dove at him. Strong hit. Now, I have no problem with it. If you're a fan running onto a football field with men who are capable of severely injuring you, I mean, you have to know what you're walking into.
Yeah.
Like if you walk out, you run out of the field, be ready to take a shot.
I know. To me, it's just so ridiculous. That was such a great game. And I don't know at what point in the game that happened, but that guy missed the end of the game. Because it wasn't at the very end, was it? It was. I mean, I don't know. They were still on the field. So,
it's safe to say it's never worth it. Never worth running.
It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Like,
the
punishment probably isn't that great, but or that bad. But yeah, the reward of being on the field acting like an imbecile is.
Well, they don't even show you anymore. As soon as he ran on the field, they changed the camera to like the over field view. See, the guy doesn't even get any screen time.
Oh, that's why they did that. That's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. The
guy doesn't even get any screen time. So actually, it's not worth it at all.
No. And then, someone in the crowd obviously filmed it. That's how we got it on Twitter. Yeah, that was just stay in the crowd. If you're going to show up to the game, just sit in the crowd and enjoy it and soak it in. Now, if you're at Lambeau and you're freezing, I understand if you want to go home. You're barely hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
It's 0 degrees.
Yeah.
And you're going home as a loser. I feel for you. I do. It's like, it's cool that you were there. But man.
If you go with those temperatures, you have to win for it to be a worthy investment, right? Like if you're going to go to that game, you got to win.
Especially Green Bay when you're the 1 seed. You got to win that one. All right. Well, I'm sure in the coming weeks we'll talk more about Tom Brady and does he come back? Can the Bucs convince him to come back? My gut feeling is this was a short, tight window for them to make a run, and it was great last year. They tried it again. They brought everybody back. I just don't think they can bring the band back together again for a third year to have enough needed to make another deep run. So,
did you see that this was the first since week 1 that all of their starters on defense played together? They've been battling injuries all season in Tampa Bay. All their starters played together for the first time since week 1. I don't know if it's almost impossible to comprehend what motivates Tom Brady at this point. I feel like though, is it more likely he retires if he would have won the Super Bowl? Like the fact that
I
he
know he's probably
lost in
so
this
hungry.
way, he can't ride off into the sunset. So maybe run it back.
I mean, to me at this point, you just have to love playing if you're going to keep going because he has
True.
nothing to prove.
I will
Like,
say,
I just
yeah.
don't get it.
If I'm Byron Leftwich, how disappointed are you? To now you're calling plays with no Antonio Brown and no Godwin. Like,
True.
is
No, that's
that
a
got
good
to be
point.
difficult?
Good point. Losing Godwin,
That
yeah, that
was
was a
tough.
bigger loss than we probably gave it.
Yeah,
Because
man.
we kind of think, oh, Brady can throw to anybody, which is true. Scotty Miller caught some passes, but
Yeah.
yeah, they just weren't as dynamic of an offense
Yeah.
to match what the Rams had, and they're a very dynamic offense.
Yes. I
OBJ
think
was great. Kupp was amazing as always.
the other takeaway I have from this weekend is not only was it some of the best games we've ever seen, but when did we have this level of assistant coaching talent? Like every game, there's at least an assistant it could be a legit favorite for a head coaching opening. Like that Rams Bucks game. They were saying all four
Yeah.
coordinators are interviewing for head coaching jobs. That's pretty spectacular.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's what you want. And I think I said it last week or the week before. Great head coaches are great leaders of men, where they are great leaders of assistant coaches, and they of men, but of assistant coaches
Mm-hmm.
that you put together a strong staff. And so that's why, if you're Matt Rule and you go Joe Brady and now you go Ben McAdoo, it's hard for me to buy in. Whereas you're Sean McVay, you go Wade Phillips, then he must have had Brandon Staley. That was his defensive coordinator last year. And then he went with Raheem Morris. So you're identifying great talent, and Wade Phillips was a great D coordinator.
Yeah.
So that's who you're bringing to surround yourself with high level NFL guys. You're going to
Yes.
find success.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's Andy Reid is a wonderful coach. He's always had great coordinators. He's had really good people on his staff. There's no question about it.
Now I have one last takeaway, and just to play, I just have to talk about my Cowboys real quick. Got to get them in.
I think we're running out of time.
One of my just disappointing takeaways from this weekend is I think this weekend was perhaps an indictment on Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator for Dallas. I'm watching these games. They're force feeding their best players. Cooper Kupp, 11 catches?
He's always open.
Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams getting force fed. Who else are they going to throw to but Devontae Adams? He still gets force fed. Every team, Mike Evans, so many catches. CeeDee Lamb for Dallas, 1 catch. How is that every team, no matter what the coverage is, no matter how many other offensive weapons they have, their best players getting the ball, no matter what the defense does? Dallas,
seems obvious,
effortless to take away Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. So I don't know what the answer is, but as a Cowboys fan, I was very disappointed seeing that I think we seem to be the only team that can't get our best players the ball. So, disappointing.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, to me, the Kellen Moore hype seems
a little premature.
Premature, yeah. It just doesn't add up to me. I really can't comprehend it. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, where Dan Quinn ends up, that'll be interesting too. And Deshaun Payton, where does he end up? A lot of rumors swirling around.
Maybe
with
broadcaster.
He could be a broadcaster, and I'm not sure. I want to go Troy Aikman, Deshaun Payton.
That seems to be a little bit big drop off there.
That's not my favorite move. Give me somebody I like a little bit more. Come on. Even though I'm looking for it. When does that Kevin James show come out about Sean Payton? Is that out yet?
January 30th, maybe end of this month.
I'm one of like 5 people that I do not have Netflix.
Well,
but I may have to get it to watch that show.
Talk about a boom or bust movie. Like there's no middle ground for that. It's either going to be
show. I thought it was a show.
It's a movie.
Oh, it's a movie?
It's a movie. It's either going to be like a kicking and screaming, fantastic, going to be hilarious, or it's going to be a disaster. Kevin James. Kicking and screaming is fantastic.
That's hilarious. That's the one you mentioned.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It could be one of those. I mean, that kicking and screaming I cannot hear any arguments against that movie. It's
No,
phenomenal,
in every
phenomenal.
way.
But like Mike Ditka, unbelievable in that movie.
Yeah.
But or I mean, like Kevin James playing Sean Payton could be a complete disaster. How random.
So random. But I can't wait to watch it.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm all
I'm
in.
in.
I'm all
I'm
in.
in on that. So I need a Netflix login, but yeah, that'd be fun. All right. Great show. And man, we missed Henry, so hopefully he's all right. We'll talk to him next week. I know he had something. So yesterday I was watching all the games on DVR because I have to take care of other things and then I watch later. My phone was blowing up last night during that Chiefs game.
I
And I was
do.
almost caught up toward the end, but
So
it
do
was
you
nuts.
just turn off your phone? What's my prerogative here? I watch a game, I text you, great game, oh crazy game, but you don't watch it until that next morning. So are you anti looking at phone until you watch the game?
Oh yeah, I'm watching not knowing the outcome.
Okay, so you don't
But
even.
I did
So
watch
if I
last night.
text
I
you,
watched it last night. I was
if
just
I
a
t-
little behind.
if I text you about a game that I know you haven't watched, are you at risk of that ruining?
It's a little risky because now all of a sudden I'm watching last night's game, Chiefs Bills, and my phone is blowing up. I mean, text after text after text. And
Mr.
so it's like,
Popular over here.
so it was mainly 25 from Henry. It was 25 texts from Henry. But it was like, well, what is happening? What am I about to see? And
Yeah.
so then you start guessing. You're like, oh, well, what is it this? And then now all of a sudden Jody wants to play the game of she'll Google who won. So now she's sitting with the answer and trying not to like tell me. And she knew the game was going into overtime. And so she was like dropping some hints that the game was going into overtime. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, now they're going to get a field goal.
She has all the power. Hey, those dishes look a little dirty.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'll get them to you later. I know the score of the game.
That's right. That's right. Well, and I'll be like, hey, there's only a minute left. And she was just kind of hesitant about that because it went into overtime. So, so last night was a little tricky. Anyway, I don't know. I forget at what point she ended up figuring it out, but it was fun nonetheless. Great weekend of sports or football. It was four tremendous games. In between, Duke bounced back, got a win, so that was good because they lost to Florida State last week.
Had to throw that in there.
Got that going. Hornets have been on a run. They lost last night to Atlanta, but Hornets have been rolling, so that's exciting. But Luke, appreciate you, man. Thanks to Medi-Share, our presenting sponsor. Medi-Share is a biblical, affordable alternative to health insurance. Text the word UNPACK to 201-201 to find out if Medi-Share is right for you. I'm Bryce. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sin. He was resurrected, and through faith, I've been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well, and I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a great rest of your day. Let's outdo one another in showing honor, love, encouragement. Let's raise the bar. Let's get the most out of each other. Let's allow Christ to shine through us and pull that out of others to get the best out of them, who God made them to be, and allow Christ to shine through them as we encourage and honor them. So that's the encouragement for us today. I'm Bryce. Have a wonderful rest of your day. This has been Unpacking It, presented by Medi-Share.